So I think you're all set, right, Stace? I see it streaming and I see the recording light is lit. No, I haven't used that for a while, have you?
No.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 2020 regular meeting of the Thomaston Planning and Zoning Commission. Seated for tonight's meeting will be Tom Mueller, Joe Hartz, Bill Guerrera, and Elizabeth Jameson, and myself, Ralph Salone. We are running a dual meeting tonight. It's live and in person, and also via Zoom. So we're gonna have to take our time and make sure we get everything right. So please be patient with us. First on our agenda tonight is a public hearing for a special permit application number 2019-12-26-01 for section 21.4 for home occupation for a mobile hairstyling office at 235 Smith Road in an RA80 residential zone. The applicant is Sherry Chuba. The applicant tonight. You want to come up and join us? I wonder if it's better if she sits close to that computer so the microphone picks her up. What do you think?
I was hearing you okay just fine, but.
Talk loud. Stace, why don't you bring us up to date real quick?
Sure. Where last we left off, last month you approved the special permit for the accessory apartment at 235 Smith Road. Tonight is exclusively about home-based business. I don't know how much detail you want me to get into.
I think that's enough of an intro. I know there were some other details that are kind of up in the air. And I think detail number one is connector for the business. And what kind of business it actually is. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the applicant and let you tell us whatever you want to tell us.
So I'm just looking to be approved so that I could cut hair there. It's a very low, sorry. It's a very low volume business that I had and just looking to try to do that there. If possible. So one at a time, client, and the hours of operation would be very limited. So there's not going to be traffic, or there's no living area there. It's just, by appointment only.
And the thing we need to discuss tonight is that our regs specifically prohibit beauty salons, right? But I think we need to decide amongst ourselves if one person operation constitutes a salon. I guess. I don't know, in my mind, a salon would be someplace that offers multiple services to multiple customers with multiple employees. That's not what we're talking about here.
Right. There would be no employee, correct?
No.
So I kind of would like to know what everybody else on the commission thinks. Let's start with Tom.
I don't think it matters how many people are there. It's the business. if the business isn't allowed, then it shouldn't be allowed.
Well, a salon isn't allowed.
Okay. I believe that our regulations do not allow auto repair shops in a residential zone.
Right.
So what difference does it make if there's a one-bay garage and somebody's doing auto repairs, or it's a four-bay garage and people are doing a bigger business? That's the business. One person or four, it doesn't matter.
But our regs don't define a salon, and I'm not sure a one-person operation qualifies as a salon.
I don't know why it wouldn't, as long as the operations are the same.
Okay. Joe?
I'm glad you said that, Tom, because I was thinking the same thing. We can define a salon, but it's not defined by volume. I guess salon would be, in addition to cutting, maybe it'd be hair coloring, nails. I don't know, but it shouldn't matter whether it's one person at a time or, 8 hours a day. So I'm glad you said that, Tom, because I think you hit the nail on the head with that.
Bill?
I can talk from experience. I get my haircut at this house, and she has actually one chair and a wash basin. And someone will come in for a color. That person will be sitting, waiting for whatever to happen, right? And then a guy for 20 minutes, get in, get her haircut, and I'm out. So, maybe two people at the most, right? At the house, and then the Korean traffic. Right, bars, never know, right? We never know it was a commercial operation being conducted out of so now we go into our ranks. They're not as clear, but this is in Watertown, so this is not Thomaston. I was wondering, in Watertown, how they handle it from a regulation standpoint. Because we're looking at the words in our ranks, salon, we're kind of clear what the intention is. A person cuts here in 8 hours, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's only 1 to 2 cars there in one time during the day. Traffic standpoint really isn't that big. Not a neighbors. It's quiet. There's nothing going on the outside of the facility that on the whole that was. You never know that there was someone there getting your hair. There's a sign, or she has a sign on her belt, but it's very low key. So I was surprised for all these years. This has never come up.
I said all these years, nobody ever bothered coming in for a permit, even though they're doing it.
Yeah, it's coming in for a permit, and now we're like, really? We don't cover this?
So,
There was 100 on Judson Street.
well, Liz, what do you have to say?
The basement.
I guess, it's written, but
Hold on a second, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
you can't?
Yeah.
It's all, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Try now.
I guess if it's written today in such a way that defines the services, I guess I agree with Tom in the sense that the number of employees doesn't cut. I guess I picture it as I guess the way it's written is that, the brick and mortar stop parking, and that kind of use. I don't know if there's a way to separate that from someone who's in their home, even if it's one key, one car at a time. I'm not sure, like with what we have fine. I guess I essentially agree with Tom, but I was just throwing out some points there as well.
We didn't get everything.
You didn't hear that?
I think we heard the probably the most important part is you said that essentially you agree with Tom, is that correct?
Yeah, in terms of how it's defined today, that's how I look at it as well.
Okay, thanks. Brian?
My aunt next door on Fenro, ran a salon on her basement for 40 years. She's cut with very child hair, just as a point of reference. Once she got old to the point where she couldn't do it anymore, I got my hair washed there once in a while, but that was the extent of what it was. But I had told Stacy, I don't personally have an issue with it. I don't know. I think it would be, I guess I would agree more with Bill on that. Licensing for the state, though, there is some, are you licensed and everything? And they'll give you a license on the home care salon, however we want to word it.
Oh, my barbering license, you mean?
Yeah, does it go with you or does it go with the facility as well?
It comes with, it's with me,
Yeah.
so I just renewed that for another 2 years. So I have a current,
So they don't necessarily license the building.
no,
It's
I
not
don't
like,
get
Tom's point, motor vehicle establishment is licensed by the facility, not necessarily the owner and the facility are licensed together, where is then licensed just for you.
right.
So, looking at the regulations, the following uses are not permitted in its beauty salons and barbershops. So it becomes hard to take the exclusion and sort of massage it into something else. What do you call that, something else, right? I have no problem with this application on its face. It's just that the language and regulations is what's I'm having a struggle with.
As are we all.
I mean, I think everybody agrees with this. We have no problem with this young lady coming in because she's proposing it, however. It's just, it's not clear in our regs. And if we grant this home occupation, we call it something, well, we need to fix this in the regs, right? To back into what we're doing here, otherwise we create this hole, that is not proper. So, so if the committee, if the commission wants to call this something other than what is here, and then we put this on the agenda to fix it, right? I would have a problem.
What do you think the original intent was by prohibiting it?
Oh my God, I go back many years and I have no idea.
Would it be to force people to operate out of a downtown office?
No. Clearly it was old school beauty salon, old school barber shop. You go into a barber shop when you, no appointments, you go in and there'd be like 10 people hanging out in the barber shop waiting to get their hair cut, right? You just have to wait. Well, that's not what we want in a home occupation. We want 10 people hanging out.
And Vito's is still like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what it is. It is what it is. So I'm not making good or ill. But from home occupation, that's not really, what the intent here is with a barber shop. That's why that's here. The same thing with the beauty salon. How many people can you wait to get their hair done while it's setting and stuff and blow drying and things. So, people are queuing up. So we're going to need to do something with this. Because I have, like I said, get my hair cut every month with this lady for years, and I'm at her home, and the setup was great. So I don't know.
I
Stacey.
actually have Watertown's regulations right here.
Yeah. So what did they say?
Standards for home occupations, A home occupation may be conducted as an accessory use to a dwelling unit in any district subject to a zoning permit in compliance with the following standards. One outside employee is permitted. Not more than one commercial vehicle incidental to the home occupation not to exceed 10,000 pounds gross weight. No impairment of the residential character of the premise and neighborhood, and may not create more vehicular traffic or parking than normally generated by residential use. No more than 25% or 400 square feet of floor space, whichever is smaller. No objectionable noises, odors, etc. No mechanical or structural fabrication, assembly, or processing of any products or items except that which shall be incidental to the permitted accessory use. No outside storage. No display, advertising, or other visible evidence. No retail sales. And the zoning permit shall terminate when the applicant no longer resides in the dwelling unit.
Yes, so it sounds like Watertown's approach to home occupations is way different than ours.
Seems like it, yeah.
It is structurally is very different. Here, what we're doing is we're specifying this particular types of occupation. Watertown is not. So.
Yeah, don't they specifically exclude anything in particular?
The only mention of actual is the new retail sales. No mechanical or structural fabrication, assembly, or processing. That's really, there's nothing regarding what is permitted, what is not permitted. Other than that.
All right, well, that wasn't any help, so. Oh, that's right. So I'll just leave it to the commission to feel how they, really want to deal with this, and, either, like I said, accept it and call it something different, fix the reg, or just deny the application and then fix it.
So this says a mobile hairstyling operation. You have a truck, like a food truck or something?
No,
Mobile is just you going from people to
Right.
person's
Right.
house. Right?
and it's mostly, that's what I do now. Well, I don't do anything now because of the COVID, but
Okay. So is your operation in the same kind of context as what I'm speaking about,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
but I don't have, so you were talking about how, I think when you go there, sometimes there's someone else there that's got a color on that's practicing. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't overlap any clients at all.
Okay.
It's one at a time.
And that's even, right, okay.
It's very low volume.
Okay.
And, I'm not in there. I wasn't in there I wouldn't be in there every day.
Okay, and that's even less intensive, so, but it's close, but not quite.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Well,
But I get the feeling that if the commission voted right now, the commission would deny it.
Yes, and not for cause, it's just because.
Because this is the regs.
Is there anything else we got pending for reg changes and language?
A few,
A couple of things, there's a few things kind of sitting in the hopper. And, if the commission wanted to entertain looking
Yeah,
at this in
I
some
suppose.
way, we could.
so
I hate to.
let me just have a conversation with the applicant first. So,
But we're talking months.
yeah. But I mean, if we make the assumption that we vote on it, we actually have to act on it one way or another tonight.
I'm sorry, what?
We have to act on it tonight because we have to make a decision no later than September 11th. But if we assume that it gets denied tonight, or is going to get denied tonight, there's a couple of other things that could happen. I think, at least me and Bill think that the regs maybe need to be looked at. If the commission initiates a reg change or modification or review, whatever, there's no timetable we can work on it as long as we need to. If, someone from the outside, like you, requests a rate change or authors one and requests that it gets put on the agenda and looked at and voted on, then there's a timetable where we have to meet certain milestones at certain times.
But then she has to pay an application.
But then she has to pay an application.
And that's really, okay.
So, food for thought.
So with this application fee to rewrite the regs, I'd have to pay that. Right, if I wanted to pursue that, but then what happens
What would
to,
be that amount?
$495.
but then what happens to what's expiring to that? Do I have to redo that as well?
It would be dependent on how, if whatever text amendment you did, how it was worded. If it still needed a special permit under whatever text amendment you did.
So here's my solution to this. It's not a perfect solution, but it's creative, and I like it. So, because this is not a beauty salon or barber shop, that is something else. And that's something else, if it's not specifically excluded, it's automatically. So if it's not a barber shop, it's not a beauty salon, then it's permitted.
But it's only you and I that have that opinion. There's 3 other commissioners that are seated tonight that don't share that opinion.
This is my own opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing this out. I mean, it's not an elegant solution, but it's one that I think is, the best I can come up with for right now without going through a reg change.
What could we call it?
You don't have to call it anything,
It's just a home occupation.
the home occupation.
And we can condition it that it never exceeds more than the one person.
Yes. Then you
And that it
condition,
never exceeds more than
That's
one
the-
customer.
that's the purpose of a special permit, that you can condition the application to, what this young lady has just said, that she's gonna have more than one person, and then that's fine. So I don't wanna get caught up in, this is a beauty salon or it's just a barber shop. It's really, it's not. So it's not able to, it's something different. That's not specifically mentioned, in a sense, it's not specifically mentioned, we can condition it based upon other criteria in a special permit.
Bill, the application is for a mobile hairstyling office. An office to me means administrative work, not the actual hairstyling work. If there's a permit issued for the application is for an office, then either the benefit connection charge needs to be paid, or that sink needs to be removed and the connection sealed. So the benefit connection fee for the WPCA has not been paid.
So what do you say?
I'm saying, number one, the application doesn't match what the applicant is saying she wants to do. And number two, the connection fee hasn't been paid. So my understanding is that we cannot issue a permit unless the connection fees have been
So
paid.
we could make it contingent on the fee being paid.
For context, this gentleman, who's also one who should control.
Right.
Sorry.
No, I mean, yeah. That's okay. I know that.
So Interesting.
Okay, so if it's permitted as an office, then there can be no hairstyling or other salon type activities in there. Can't do nails on a customer, can't do hair coloring, can't do hair cutting, hairstyling. It's strictly an office.
Would you consider operating the home business from this as per the application, with the understanding that maybe there is a text amendment or something that can be done to expand to what you're looking to do?
Yeah.
Keeping it only to the mobile portion of it until we get the rest of it potentially look at.
With the caveat that that potentially being looked at could take quite some time.
That's if I don't pay,
It would obviously be quicker if you were to put together a text amendment and present it to them. The commission would have to look at it within statutorily mandated timelines.
So what were you gonna say?
If we had a mobile dog service here, and there are those that are throughout town, I've seen on our street, a mobile dog.
They're doing it in the truck.
What's,
Why you say you can't have two children?
Yeah, I think their systems are
That's not helpful.
closed loop.
No, that's not helpful. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Look for an off button. I can't hear it with the background noise.
Switch there?
It should stay on high and low.
Oh,
So why does she have to come in your home? Why does she not do it out of her home?
She was seeking to do sometimes after. It was largely, as it was presented correctly on wrong, mostly mobile, but she wanted to be able to move occasionally.
Yeah, so what are we deciding? We're deciding, I know it's mobile, right? And I didn't think the mobile issue was a problem. That's apparently it is. I thought we were looking to do it at your home. And the mobile, whatever it is. You can't track it, that's a mobile service. You know, whether or not they're using a sync or not, because it's really, not a permanent use. So I go back to what I said before, if this person is conducting out of their home, then I'm still fine with what I just mentioned. That as long as it's not, doesn't fall into one of the exclusive classes that regulate use in our site plan, but in terms of what she does at her home. The fact that she's mobile as well, it doesn't fall under a home occupation at all.
Unless she wants to cut hair at the house.
Right, and what we're deciding is having her cut hair at the house. What we're not deciding is the mobile. Because that's not a home occupation. She has a truck, parks at her home.
if she wants to have a business office in the house, then it's a home occupation.
Right, but, and that's to your point, that there's an office component to this, right? And, because, right, she's running a business on her home, the actual work though is being done off-site. So it's the work, what's the more important issue, the work itself, which is off-site, or the fact that she has a business that she runs out of her home, but there's no, the mobility of it is elsewhere. You got a guy that sells backbone tools, does he, run his business out of his home? Yeah, well, he has a little office but the truck goes with him goes every day. You know, with a guy who sells, potato chips out of his, Utz, I have a guy who's an Utz salesman. Has a truck in his driveway. And he leaves every day and comes home. Does he have a home occupation? Probably. Do I care? No. Because the use is not at the house, off-site. The use is off-site. The fact that we're deciding on is her on-site use, not her off-site.
We lost Elizabeth.
She did say she might have to be early. Oh, no, she's here.
I don't see her.
She's coming in. Elizabeth, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't want to interrupt. I wasn't sure what's going on.
So Tom, if the applicant were to pay the benefit fee to the WPCA, would you have any heartburn with her cutting hair at her house?
As long as the sink is there, yes.
I said if she paid the benefit fee.
Oh, are you gonna grant are you proposing to grant a permit for that
Well, I'm trying to decide what the sticking point is. Is it the benefit fee or is it the actual use?
Well, number one, the benefit fee hasn't been paid, and she made a statement in the last meeting she attended that she did not want a permit to do hairstyling in the house.
But people change their minds.
Okay? Well, then she should have come back to the WPCA knowing that was a requirement.
I think.
I don't remember saying that. At the last meeting, are you referring to the last meeting?
The last meeting that you attended when you paid the benefit connection fee for the accessory apartment, you stated to the WPCA that you did not want to operate the home-based business, the hairstyling in your house.
I don't recall. I said that I wasn't. I don't remember saying that I didn't want to.
Well, if you would want to, then you would have had to
And
pay
it
the
was,
benefit
it
connection
was
fee.
tabled, did we say that it was gonna be tabled to this meeting, this part of it? The salon part of it, Stacy?
When we spoke and you had it available to you to pay the one benefit assessment fee, you have to pay for the accessory apartment, and so the commission agreeing that this issue would be taken up to that.
It's right here in the minutes. S. Cantana explained she wasn't in a position to pay the fee if she was not going to be approved. So it was sort of like either,
I'm not talking about what was stated in this meeting. I was talking about what was stated in the WPCA.
Thank you. I was looking at them. Okay.
All right, so
I don't remember. That was back in February, I think. I don't.
regardless of that, if she were to pay the benefit fee, would you have any heartburn with her cutting hair at that address?
At this point, yes. Because I don't believe it's in accordance with our regulations.
Okay. And you still have the same opinion?
I wrote down, two things. I don't know how we could approve it with the regulations being stated as they are. I don't know what kind of floodgate that might or might not open. But it's clearly prohibited, so I don't know how we could approve it.
I would just put out there that we're still in the public hearing, so if we're just gonna discuss this in the commission, perhaps this over later, but if you're gonna need that more testimony, public.
Well, we may, so I don't want to close the hearing. So Bill,
Go around.
strategically, would it be better for the applicant to withdraw and author a text amendment?
It's cleaner, absolutely cleaner, right, to do that. And that makes sense. My point on going through this structure, right, that's what it is, was to bridge that gap between now and the time when the regulation.
But there's no guarantee that,
Sorry?
there's no guarantee that any text amendment that was offered would be approved. So we can't count on that happening.
You really need to attest. Yeah, I agree with that, you know, but again, you know, the time it takes to, you know, and then who's going to initiate it, the commission or the applicant? Right? Because I see this as not necessarily a one-up issue with this particular individual, because I could see perhaps where this may become a way, particularly with COVID, where people want to just do a one-on-one, you know, type of getting your hair done versus going into a full setting, where this may become a greater type of use than before.
But it, let me,
No, I think the commission should initiate it.
but if it is a commission initiated action, the commission has a lot of other higher priority items to take care of first. You know what I mean?
That's why I asked the question, what else we got in the hopper?
We have motor vehicles, we have signs, we have solar. I think those are the most pressing ones right now.
What are we gonna say?
To me, it's no different than any of the personal services. Dog grooming. Somebody run a dog grooming business out of their house. Massage. Therapeutic massage, personal services. I don't know what else would be, I could put in with that, but because there's people that do traveling, and then they have their little area in their house that they do the same thing. So the way Watertown's regs are written, it seems they're painting with a broad brush, where they're not excluding anything. They're trying to, so that the commission can look at individuals and see what works. How would that be any different than me as a mechanic rebuilding a part in my garage for profit and then shipping it off? There was a similar thing that, you know, like a small engine repair in my garage. Or if I did that via mail, or if somebody brought something in, we approved a more intensive use recently, you know, and so it's
That's the same thing as me as an engineer doing design work out of the house.
yeah.
If I were to do that.
Office, we have space. I think that the regs are a little bit, and we're calling out individual businesses instead of looking case by case. You know, we're excluding we're pinpointing too precisely in our regs. But I also agree with Tom, or not Tom, Joe, that the way they are written, it's really, we're splitting hairs trying to say we can approve it. You know,
For the example,
it's against the regs. This
recently we approved engine repair as a home occupation because it wasn't automotive repair, which is prohibited in the regulations.
Specifically, engine rebuilding was a component of automotive, but it wasn't an automotive repair
Well,
shop.
because the whole car wasn't there, that somebody brought in an engine.
Well, we also had a lot of public feedback on that application as well.
No.
You know, here it was really.
Well, we found a way to call it something else, I think, is what's important.
You know, no regulation, no set of regs is perfect. You know, we could be amending our regs to the cows come home, and it's still never going to be perfect. And that's what the nature of it, because, you know, our culture changes, right? economy, there's so many variables that, regulation can keep up with time, still have form, right? Form, but it still when it comes to certain things that are there, you go, yeah, we can, or we can. A text amendment.
Just my point was, how is a salon any different than a dog groom? It's really not. The cut hair, you're washing, there's water discharge, there's so.
It's the process and a different customer.
So that should be on the list, and if we put that on the list, on the list, put that on the list, it just.
Oh, as
By the time
I've
it's done,
yeah, I know, Brian. It's a.
So that's why I think the regs should be changed. Obviously, we have to decide who's the.
I was trying to avoid that by what I'm suggesting. Because it is a Pandora's box. Do a text of it, it sounds good and elegant, but then you get into the nitty-gritty writing, like, this is like a project. So I was looking to kind of ignore that by saying what I said.
So let's pause for a moment and see if there's any public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak on this application? Yes, sir. And remember, name.
Paul Yost, 164 South. I want it understood right up front that I think she should be allowed to do that location. However, Mr. Mueller pointed out, this isn't, the application was all wrong to begin with. This thing is for an office, not to actually be doing the work there. This mobile hairstyle in office, I assumed that she had a truck and took out her have an office at home to do paperwork. I'm sure most people reading this would see it that way. She should be allowed to do regulation. It's clear, salon or barbershop, whatever you want to call it. She said she was going to be done here. She's going to be one color. It's against that regulation. So the regulation, exactly how you deal with that, the best way you deal with it. And they come up with the limitations to one person, two people in a residential area, maximum chairs, whatever. That's something you guys have to work out. But I think a lot of people should be able to have this is something which should describe overlap and without overlap. There's a lot of traffic, it should be allowed, but you need to change the regulations. Work on that as soon as possible, whatever is the best way. Because, trying to make a living, but the application I see is just asking for an office, not, the actual work. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? And there's no public on, and nobody's on Zoom, right? I don't see anybody on Zoom. Nope.
Well, can I ask a question now? Can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I think Elizabeth is trying to
Oh,
speak.
what did you say, Liz?
I wanted to ask a question concerning if it were a text amendment, because if we felt we couldn't approve it and denied it without prejudice, or if it was withdrawn by the applicant, I feel that would be their last resort, would be to come up with that. And is there any reason why, if it were somehow categorized under the home occupation, I understand we have a lot of other regs on our plate that, something like that would be too difficult to, spend too much time on getting past. It can't be so complicated of a regulation if we put it under one type of home occupation as a listed as a permitted type of use. I would think. I mean, just a question out there, because there's reasons why that if we couldn't approve it, if that's the direction we go, then that's the last resort anyway. I understand you said there's no guarantees, but, and we have other things on our plate, but in the scheme of things, if there's a few ways this could play out, I don't know how complicated or how much time and attention it would have to take on our part or the applicant's part to draft that, but that's just my thought.
Stacy, can you kind of summarize, because I didn't catch all that?
It's essentially, if this doesn't fit in what we're looking at right now, then it's kind of the last resort to try for the text amendment, and maybe that's the way to go. Correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth.
That's the gist of it, Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
So then perhaps this time I would like to withdraw the application now before finished and then consider a text amendment.
In everything that's been said tonight, I think if we vote on it tonight, it's gonna get denied. I'm pretty sure it will get denied, and I kind of don't want to put you through that. I think strategically, you'd be better off withdrawing, and if you want this to happen sooner rather than later, I think you would be better off initiating the request for a text amendment. But it's up to you.
I mean, that's probably my best option at this point, right? What do you just said?
Yeah.
It's up to you what you prefer, but
Yeah.
I would just need it in writing.
Well, this is a good discussion.
Yes, and it did point out some issues with current regs.
Yeah, and I think the point's still well taken that, I'm surprised that we haven't had more people come forward, looking to everything at home, as I have had my own. It'd be good for us.
Yeah, I'm thinking the more specific we are with the regs, the more opportunity it is for them to be obsolete, because life changes.
You're exactly right, yes. Remember Mrs. Freeze over by Thomaston Feeding Grain? Linda, I think Linda Freeze was her name.
Oh, yes.
Did she ever have a permit for the home business? I don't ever remember. I remember her coming before the commission a lot, but I don't ever remember it was for a home business permit, but she did run a business there.
I don't remember that person in that capacity. I just remember other things that.
So I think, back to my original statement, I think there's a lot of people that are doing things out of the house that didn't necessarily come here for a permit.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, I think her situation came to light when she was either trying to sell it or trying to finalize things with the home.
It was the accessory apartment.
Yeah, and then there's other things that came out in that too, from what if memories. And that's one.
Yeah.
Decided to come in. Try to sort of make everything with you.
What is that?
I, Sherry Quintana, am withdrawing my application for a home-based salon, 9/2/2020. Signature.
And again, I think you want to initiate the text amendment for speed purposes. If you wait for us, it's gonna get put on a long list.
Yeah, okay. I, Bill brought up a good point too, that it has impacted me. I kind of forgot to bring it up, but, with this COVID-19, it's not high volumes, there's not a lot of people in and out for, and just this whole COVID thing has just changed the face of the world, basically. So I know that I myself would feel better going, one-to-one, or, everything can be sanitized at a more controlled, in a more controlled manner.
Okay, so, I'm sure Stacy would be happy to give you any guidance or help that you might need. She loves that stuff.
Yeah, she's great. She's been great. I love Stacy.
So I hope everything works out for you.
Okay.
I hope we see you again soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Have a nice night. Next on the agenda is a special permit application number 2020-07-20-01 for section 4.5, Schedule A, Part A.16 for caretakers residence at 790 Old Northfield Road. 790 Old Northfield Road. And the applicant is Stephen H. and Ann Dunsky. Stephen H. Is the applicant or the representative here tonight?
No, they submitted requesting that the commission extend this, table this to October 7th, your October meeting. Unfortunately, the property owner was going to be out of state and his representative was also not able to be here.
Could have zoomed in. Do you have that email in front of you? You wanna just read it into the record so we have the full text in the record?
Yes. Okay. Hi Stacy, per our recent phone conversation, we would like to reschedule our hearing on the special permit for the caretaker's residence. In addition to my not being here on September 2nd, Dennis still needs to get approval on the plan from Torrington Area Health District. That is he has the plan, he has the approval for his house. He does not have the total approval for the house and the caretaker yet. They're still working on that. The good news is that the septic for the house project is approved. And please confirm that we'll have our public hearing on Wednesday, October 7th, and I replied to him that that's not a problem.
All right, then, would someone like to make a motion to continue the public hearing for special permit 2020-07-20-01 to our regular October meeting?
Isn't it already continued since it says tabled until then?
We didn't officially table it. We got a request to table it.
All right, so moved.
Is there a second?
Oh, Joe Hart, second.
Thanks. Is there any discussion on the motion? Since we're still on Zoom, I think I should still do a roll call vote. So, Elizabeth Jamison, how do you vote?
Elizabeth Jamison, aye.
She said aye.
Said aye.
Bill Guerrero, how do you vote? Joe Hart?
Joe Hart's aye.
Tom Mueller?
Tom Mueller, aye.
And Ron Sullivan also votes aye. All right, so we'll continue that to our October meeting. Next is a zoning map amendment, expansion of the downtown development district, and we are the applicant. This has been discussed on and off and held in a public hearing state for quite a while, because I didn't really want to close the public hearing while we were doing strictly Zoom meetings. I wanted to make sure that everybody in the public had the opportunity to comment on it, whether they had access to a computer or not. So if anyone on the commission has any questions, comments, or concerns, let's get those out of the way, and then we'll open it up to the public. And I think even once we do open it up to the public, I think we probably want to continue it at least one more month. So I don't think we want to close it tonight either. But anyways, any questions, comments, or concerns from the commission?
No.
Elizabeth, anything?
No.
Does any member of the public wish to comment on this?
Paul Yost, 164 South Main. I'm concerned with any extra regulations on properties and keep expanding this. And especially, I see you going, all the way over across the river to the old Canyon building. And I'm concerned with, you know, you didn't go as far as my property. But I know for a fact, talking with different realtors, the minute you add any restrictions to the properties, you devalue it. People hesitate to buy stuff. And so every member here, if you had two houses, two commercial buildings, whatever, one had a lot of restrictions on it, one didn't. Same price, same lot, same builder, everything. I will guarantee you guys buy the one without getting all the extra regulations. Right now, you don't have a lot. But over time, they always get added on. And I have the 4-page paper here that you're well aware of, Mr. Long, where you want to, you know, brick with banding and all these architectural drawings, all this extra stuff. And I'm afraid over time, this stuff, some of it will get added to it. And it really pulls down property values. And I don't think you should be doing it. Nobody here owns any of the properties downtown, to my knowledge. And you're putting a burden on other people. Now, I know, you know, it's sort of brought up before, Jeremy brought up that, oh, you can get grant money. Well, I talked to the head that hands out that grant money, and the average person isn't going to get a dime, because fire departments, police departments, schools, ambulances, that's every month, they have a pile of money, they shuffle they prioritize those things, and those schools and everything, they get the money. And even if you know, he said, again and again, people put in applications, but they don't get anything. You know, they go to the schools, there's always requests, you know, we got 180 schools or towns in Connecticut, roughly. And, you know, there's always people asking for stuff. And that's where the money, this grant money goes. So it's not a benefit to any of the owners of these properties. And I don't like seeing that expansion, because I think it's really taking away the value of the properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any other member of the public wish to comment? Yes,
Can I
sir.
ask you to repeat what you're talking about?
So, yeah, sure. So first of all, the way we work this is that anyone that speaks has to give their name and address to identify themselves. So if you'd like to do that.
Terry Freeland, 21 Stump Avenue.
Thanks.
And I didn't catch your opening remark. So it's something with the properties downtown, but I didn't catch what it was about.
Okay. So years ago, this commission created a downtown development district. And the boundaries over the years have changed a bit. And you know, and just to use is right, it has expanded. But it's been expanded because, you know, properties were cut in half. And, or the reality is that, you know, the downtown development, the downtown district itself kind of grew. I don't remember when we actually put it into place, but I want to say it's been more than 10 years, right?
Oh, it's been at least that many years ago.
Maybe even 15, I don't remember. But it's been in place for quite a long time. And
the genesis of that was really those many years ago, Terry. What happened was there was the drugstore wars, if you remember, right? Where there was, you know, drugstores that were coming in and tearing down buildings. And what they were doing was in the downtown areas of these communities, they were
tearing down stores,
tearing down the existing stores and then putting the parking lot in the front and then the building in the rear. And so which ended up happening was the character of the downtown community became altered, you know, permanently because of that. So think a country grocer without the store there, in a parking lot where the store is, and then a drugstore behind it, you know, that's we were looking to, you know, keep the pedestrian friendly community of the downtown area intact by, you know, trying to regulate, you know, those types of uses. It has nothing to do with architecture, nothing to do with painting. This is not a historical district at all. You know, so that was those many years ago. You know how the downtown was an overlay to how that became created, and we're to preserve property values because of what we heard value, is the value of some more. And and after that, it doesn't, not consistent downtown.
To that, and this is not a rebuttal, but I don't see it as a restrictive, covenant. I think of it as more like marketing or aesthetic or and larger grant opportunities are going to be available. It's also in line with our plan of conservation and development. I mean, people spoke and said they wanted to walk historic downtown, they appreciate the history of the town. You use the word pedestrian friendly. I just don't think that it's a restrictive set of regulations. I don't see it that way.
No, it's not. Like I said, we enacted this more than 10 years ago, and I don't recall any additional restrictions placed on those properties. Yes, sir. What?
We had several years ago, an application for an auto body shop.
Yes, all that, yes.
And so that auto body shop in the downtown area was not consistent with you. So one example of what happened with respect to that, prohibiting an auto body shop from going up downtown. So other than that, that was what I ever recall with respect to implementation of that district impact, on the community. And part of the public hearing at the time was the property values. Oh my God, if someone put an auto body shop downtown, how is that going to protect the value of my building next door? It's going to go down. So it was, the preservation of the property values that led to, saying, and this is not really consistent with how this is going to work. So, and I don't.
Yeah. In a nutshell, Thomaston is a small New England mill town. And the idea behind the downtown development district is to keep the character of the downtown area that of a small New England mill town. Nobody wants to see it turned into a Bridgeport or a Haven or a Hartford. People choose to live here because of the character of the town, and they want to see it stay that way.
Hey, but the gentleman came who was putting a cigarette shop downtown and wanted a sign over his.
Yeah.
So if there is some sensitivity about the downtown and how it looks and the appearance of what it was. I mean, the man's there. I mean, it's fine. Now, but I mean, there's a lot of interest on that application, just for a sign, never mind anything else.
So is there any additional comment from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Christine, well, I understand your concerns about keeping the downtown looking to the way. But what you're talking about now is actually expanding the parameters of this area, extending it much further from the downtown, right, into the downtown. We're actually talking about one part of the south, part of the east. Right? So, anyway, talking about many different areas, totally buildings that were never originally part of the downtown. I don't think that things you want to include in the downtown. I don't think it was downtown. Now I understand why the main building, the town hall, things else to look. They're requiring other buildings farther out to have that look too.
But you're, I don't want to get in an argument with you, but we're not requiring any buildings to have any particular.
Like not this one. But we were all here when this was discussed.
That was never discussed here. You're confusing this with the Economic Development Commission. but thank you for your input.
I had the documentation from years ago, and Ingrid Luca was proposing certain things.
And she was the head of the Economic Development
And
Commission.
this was considered, considered. You guys debated.
All right, thank you for your input. Yes, sir.
I'm Paul Yost, 164 South Main. Mr. Sloan, you sat at those EDC meetings. All of that was going to be presented.
All right, I'm going to cut you off there because this is not an EDC meeting. So thank you for your input. Thank you for your input.
You were there.
Thank you for your input. Does any other member of the public wish to comment? All right, being that there is no further public comment, I would like a motion to continue this to our next meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Oh, Joe Hart second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Bill Guerrero, how do you vote? Joe Hartz, how do you vote?
Joe Hart's aye.
Tom Mueller, how do you vote?
Tom Mueller, aye.
Elizabeth Jamison, how do you vote?
Elizabeth Jamison, aye.
And Ralph Salone also votes aye, so motion carries. And we will move on to the regular meeting with approval of the minutes from our August 12th meeting. And I found something in there that I thought we should correct. Just give me a minute to find it again.
Well, can I give you mine while you're looking for yours?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, on page 3, executive session. Motion was made and seconded to adjourn at 9:11. I think that should say to exit the executive session because the adjournment came later.
That is correct.
That's all I have.
I didn't catch that one. There was another one someplace.
Just saw when there's a typo. Or clone. Is that what?
That's the one. Where is it?
It is under regular meeting minutes. So it's page 2. After Ralph Stone.
Yeah, I could see how you're unable.
That was the one I was thinking of.
You guys are on it.
Does somebody want to make a motion to amend the minutes and accept the amended minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Joe Hart second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Bill Guerrero, how do you vote?
Aye.
Joe Hart, how do you vote?
Joe Hart's aye.
Tom Mueller, how do you vote?
Tom Mueller, aye.
Liz, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Right, because you weren't here. And Ralph Salone also votes aye. So the motion carries with one abstention. Under new business, we have the special permit application 2019-12-26-01 that we, that the applicant withdrew. We have a special, I'm sorry, this is under both this, number two, we have the special permit 2020-07-20-01, which we continued. Then we have the downtown development district zoning map amendment, which we continued. Next, draft regulation amendments, motor vehicle signs, solar, et cetera.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, go ahead.
On the zoning map amendment for the expansion of the downtown development district.
Yes.
Do we close that public hearing?
No, we continued it to
That's
October.
right.
Draft regulation amendments.
Did you want to go into that now, or did you want to do other things first and come back to it?
Let's start a discussion on the motor vehicle.
Okay.
So, a long time ago, we started talking about, commercial vehicle parking on residential lots. A long time ago, remember?
How far back do you want to go?
Pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID, I think it was pre-2019 also, I don't remember.
Yeah, there was stuff before the commission prior to it.
I think our biggest struggling point was the definition of a commercial vehicle. And I know we all had our own opinions as to what should be allowed and what shouldn't. So I had Stacy pull the state definitions of a commercial motor vehicle. You know, if they have it defined already, there's no sense reinventing the wheel. And do you have the state one that you can bring up, Stace?
Yes, just a second.
Forgot to bring my hat there. Thanks.
Well, I know we had talked about 10,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds, 80,000 pounds.
Okay. Can you say that?
All I see are the,
Hang on.
Sony, Beacon Falls, Bristol regs.
That should, oh, goodness, okay. How about now?
I can't even read from here. Got it? Yeah, so, the state regs say commercial motor vehicle means a vehicle designed or used to transport passengers or property, except a vehicle used for farming purposes in accordance with 49 CFR 383.3D, firefighting apparatus, or an emergency vehicle as defined in section 14-283, or a recreational vehicle in private use, which A, has a gross vehicle weight rating of 26,001 pounds or more, or a gross combination weight rating of 26,001 pounds or more, inclusive of a tow unit or units with a gross vehicle weight rating more than 10,000 pounds. B is designed to transport 16 or more passengers, including the driver, or is designed to transport more than 10 passengers, including the driver, and is used to transport students under the age of 21 to and from school. Or C is transporting hazardous materials and is required to be placarded in accordance with 49 CFR 172 subpart F as amended, or any quantity of a material listed as a select agent or toxin in 42 CFR Part 73. So essentially, that's saying any vehicle in excess of 26,000 pounds or more. And yeah, you're gonna have to make that bigger. I guess personally, I'm okay with that, except it has to be qualified a little bit. You wouldn't put a vehicle like that on a 4-acre lot and expect it to even fit, actually. But, you know, I think if we put some more specific language in place, like it has to be stored in a building or behind the front of the house, you know, in the side yard or backyard, you know, and there's a certain minimum acreage, you know, where you do that, you know, blah, 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 blah. I thought maybe that might be the way to go. That way we wouldn't get into the loop of trying to define and decide how each and every vehicle that came before us was or was not a commercial vehicle.
Well, I just want to also make sure you understand that as it's written, since it's saying 26,001, if you go with this, the only thing that is a commercial vehicle is something that's class 7.
The only thing what? Say that louder.
The only thing that would fit the definition is class 7 or 8. Anything lower than that would not meet the definition of a commercial vehicle. So I put up a handy chart. And I can get your copy of the, you know, obviously it's generalization, it's not 100% accurate, but what is in each class.
You can't zoom in on that anymore?
I have to download it off the computer and then do it that way. So wait a minute, I can.
Yeah, we'll wait. I think it's important.
Ralph, I don't disagree with that definition, but I think the prohibition needs to be broader than that. I mean, there are U-Haul trucks that they, and other rental trucks that they definitely put signs on that says under 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating. But they're substantial sized boxes and 6 wheels, and I don't think I would want one of those parked in my front yard.
Well, I don't think they should be parked in any front yards, but yes, but for the most part, I agree with
But that is outside of the definition, outside of this definition of a commercial vehicle. And they do that vehicle weight rating solely for the purpose of letting somebody with a standard driver's license drive it and not needing a CDL. But it drops it out of this definition of a commercial vehicle.
Go.
Sorry,
Hold it right
drops
there.
it out. I'm sorry, what was the difference? You said it drops it out of the requirement.
Say all that again, so Elizabeth can hear you.
Just the you were talking about the requirement, Tom. It drops it out.
Elizabeth's talking too.
So yeah, you guys can't hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Okay, there are vehicles that are bigger than I would want parked in my front yard or a neighbor's front yard that do not require a CDL and drop out of that definition of a commercial vehicle. I mean, case in point, a big UPS truck, delivery truck. That's under a 26,000 pound GVW. So, and there's many U-Haul trucks or Ryder trucks or whatever that are also under that 26,000 pound limit. So by that definition, they could be parked any place in a residence. If the restriction is only uses that definition for a commercial vehicle.
Well, you make a good point. Can you see the graphic that Stacy put up?
Yes, yes.
Maybe we want to say, you know, anything class 5 or bigger is a commercial vehicle. At least what I'm trying to do is get out of the business of defining a commercial vehicle. I'd rather let the feds or the state define it for us. So I was thinking class 7, but maybe we should be thinking class 3 or 5 or 4.
I think, too, is, I think we want to get away from the GVW because you'd be shocked at how much even a single wheel pickup truck, what the GVW is on some of the newer trucks. I know of a pickup truck, it's a dual wheel pickup truck, crew cab, new pickup, somebody would own to tow a camper. This gross vehicle weighs 17,000 pounds, just the truck. So
That's not a pickup truck. That's something bigger than a dual wheel Dodge 3500 has got a gross vehicle weight rating of like 12,000 something.
Yeah, a Ford F-450 pickup truck.
I think you're getting beyond a pickup truck with a 450.
Yeah.
But it is a pickup truck.
It is a pickup. That's my, you know, so it's. I think we should stay away from the, if you want to say box truck or something like that, it's fine. But stay away from the weight of it. Because if you make the threshold too low, then you're shocked at what some of the stuff actually is. If you actually start to look.
Go up a little bit, Stace, so we can see what the lower weight ratings look like. But even these classes here go by weight ratings, not by style.
Yeah, they're not part of the test, it's a guideline.
And the class 1, class 2, et cetera, that's defined by the feds, right?
I believe so.
Yes, Bill.
So if we look at class, sorry, Stacy, 6 is, can you scroll down for me, Stacy?
Class
6, yes. Okay. If you look at class 7 and 8, you know, I think we're hearing from the commission that there's no real desire to allow 7s and 8s, right, in our residential zones.
Well, I don't know about that. Look at, under class 7, which is 26,001 to 33,000. One of the examples that they have is the home heating oil truck. And, what's his name? Barrett used to live down the road.
So,
And his truck would be there, and it was never an issue.
if you look at the whole universe, okay, of commercial vehicles that we typically see in our community, and you start with your light trucks, pickup trucks, vans, right? And you kind of go up, right? You get to the other side of that bell curve, roll down on the other side. You know, there are people in the community that have, like on our street, a box truck. He has a box truck because he's a route salesman for us. You know, a gentleman has a rack body.
Or even the example you brought up.
But it's there at night. He leaves for the day, and it gets parked right off site, off the street. It is home. Okay. no problem with that. So are we saying that we're going to allow without any permit, specific class, say 1 through 6, anything over 6, you have to have a special permit for?
I think we have to pick some point where, an over-under point, where under, they don't need a permit, and over they do.
So we're not excluding, what I'm saying is we're not excluding anybody from any one of these uses, any one of these types of vehicles. The higher the class, of course, the greater, you're gonna have to, the greater the responsibility of the person to show why, residential zone should I have a class A vehicle.
Yes, exactly.
But we're not saying you cannot have it at all. Whereas certain classes, like 1 through 6, as just an example, by right, you're allowed to have the vehicle paid over that particular type of class vehicle in this special permit. So at least we know that the vehicle is not being parked on the street, that's being parked off street, right? It's not hindering the property values, and it's not hindering, the neighbors in terms of their enjoyment of their property. Okay.
And I think that's the way to go. I guess we just have to agree on an over-under number.
Yeah. Because I can see this war going where you're trying to exclude certain classes. There's always an exception. We're a working community.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think we should exclude anything, but I think certain things need to have a special permit.
Yes, that's where I'm going with this. Thank you.
I think just we need to decide where that demarcation should be.
Right, well, that's another conversation, but at least, it's a starting point.
And of course, other conditions like I said, it has a certain amount of acreage. You don't want to see a dump truck parked in somebody's front lawn.
Stacy, may I ask? So, from a compliance standpoint, in terms of violations, what have you seen?
We have somebody. It was themselves to park comfortably in the street. And on a steep slope where it shows impact visibility. So there's that. There are people who have larger vehicles.
But on that one that parks on the street they were talking about, on that particular property, can it be parked in the side yard or backyard or in the garage?
There's no way it would fit in that, but it can be parked in the driveway. Not often parked on it, it's parked in the driveway, and some repairs are usually in the dump truck in the street.
I see I don't know, would you want to allow a truck like that to be parked in the driveway in front of the house?
There would be no way for that particular property to put it to locate it anywhere else.
So regardless of what you hear, that person is not ever going to be able to park that truck on that property. Unless we say it can be parked in the driveway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in one of our high density zones and someone has a dump truck that they use for work, trucks.
Yeah.
Really?
And what is that lot you're talking about? What zone is that? What's that? Sport?
Yeah.
It's just not ever going to fit there. That's why I think we need to also, in addition to the truck size, let's say, or the vehicle size, let's say, I think we also need to look at the lot size.
Well, from an enforcement standpoint, Stacy, how would you do that in terms of putting standards together for a
I
special
actually
permit?
I did some research, I showed it to, email it around here, but I'll also put it up right now. I searched through a variety of times to see how they handled it, and I actually did find a website that obviously needs to be tweaked for our circumstances. It's from Enfield, but I thought it had a couple of good things in it. I'll just pull it up right now.
So, Bill, I'm not trying to come to a resolution tonight. I just want to get all the information out there and start a discussion.
Yes.
And Stacy read from a bunch of towns, and she likes she's most comfortable in Enfield.
I was just trying to wrap my arms around how to approach this thing. And if the commission is okay with accepting anything. Right. But a higher class with a greater degree of regulation that we have to comply with. Then the issue becomes what's the demarcation line, right, between what's allowed by letter of right, and what's required. Where do you draw that line, right, in vehicles, and then once you cross that, what is that we're going to be concerned about with respect to the use of those vehicles in a residential setting, particularly in the impact that it may have, right, on neighbors.
Yeah, try to balance everything.
Yeah, it's balanced. There's no perfect science to this, but I was just trying to conceptually just try to start the process by trying to define where we should start, that's all.
So, I mean, this one has some good stuff in terms of the vehicle shall be parked so as to obstruct the view of traffic from adjacent driveways.
We're not seeing that, Stacy. We're seeing the picture with the different classes.
It would help if I resumed the share. Okay.
There you go.
So there's the issue of blocking view, that's getting addressed. No vehicle containing hazardous materials or waste may be parked on a residential lot.
And I think that's something we need to make sure we include. We never talked about that before.
Oh, yeah, the hazardous materials.
Yeah.
And again, some of this is, take what you guys want and you can edit it accordingly. This one limits construction related equipment. No tanker trucks, no vehicles, all vehicles shall be parked on the driveway outside residential lot or parked in the area leased versus residential lot provided commercial vehicles may be parked close to those 10 feet from the adjacent property. The commercial vehicle shall be owned or operated by the permanent resident of the property on which it is to be parked. No maintenance or repair of a commercial vehicle shall be allowed on residential property, and that's something to consider. No loading of commercial vehicles between the hours of 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. No garbage hauling dump trucks or any other trucks that haul garbage or objectionable odors. Anything I would put in ordinance so that we respect to that, obviously we don't have that, but we could probably put something into that effect. And then the parameters for the special permit would require.
Sure. And this was for the town of Enfield? It's really well done.
Yeah, it really is.
That's really well done.
And you didn't send that to everybody, you just sent it to me?
Yeah.
Why don't you send it around to everybody tomorrow so we can all chew on it for a while.
There's a variety of different towns, but like I said, I think that's the one that I myself would move for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious to know if it's okay with you, from the town planner and feel, how that,
I can call her.
what the process was, you know, how long it's been on the books for, what's the reaction of the community's been.
Okay.
I mean, Enfield is not Thomaston, but yet I see the intent of what you're trying to do there. It is still a working class community, you know, larger than ours, of course, a different part of the state. But yet I'm seeing what they've done, and I'm just curious in terms of how that was perceived, you know, and how it's enforced, and
I can reach out to them and try to get
yeah,
them.
that kind of context would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I, just explain that? I think, like, the motor vehicle stuff, I think we should try to, regulate something to bring more people into compliance and put more people, make it harder for people that are already existing to be, because there's, you go around town, there's a lot of the tool salesmen, the various salesmen, the people that drive their work vehicles home, the guys that run 1 or 2 dump trucks out of their house. They might have a big lot, but still residential neighborhood that they're leaving, going to and from.
Yeah, there's certain things here, regardless of lot size.
Yeah.
that-
Yes.
Like hazardous materials, I mean, really.
Yeah, you don't
There are
want
certain
somebody,
things that are regardless of size of the vehicle, what you don't want.
you know, you wouldn't want somebody having a full tanker full of home heating oil parked in their driveway overnight.
Yeah,
Because it leaks, it's potential hazard.
we all go by our neighbors and you look at, you know, the commercial vehicles they use, and, you know, and you go by, you never second thought, like, the 2 vehicles that I'm saying are my neighbor, but, you know, they're never thought about, you know, how we use those vehicles back and forth to work, they go, right?
And Brian brings up a good point. The way the regs are written now, no commercial vehicles are allowed.
That's
So
correct.
everybody that has one in their yard.
Yeah, that's something that's lost on people, but yeah, that's correct. You know, we're looking to give people coverage, not take it away, because right now they have no coverage.
But I'd like, I guess, a big umbrella for more than less. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Try to get everybody to, the few that are, an issue with parking on streets, probably never good.
And it would really help Stacy too, when it comes to enforcement,
Because
because she's got standards to go by.
But I think it's important that, you know, below some point, it's just allowed as a matter of right. But above some point, we want to have them go through the special permit process so that we can make sure, like, you know, all the i's are dotted and all the t's are crossed, and that, you know, it's not going to create something that's objectionable to all the neighbors, or it's going to lower the property value. So I think that's probably good for an opening salvo. And we'll continue it, in October. Stacy, is there anything else we can kind of open up now, like the solar or the signs or anything, or nothing that's at that
Well, and the
point?
science is gonna be pretty protracted, so I don't know. I mean, I would almost say that if you wanted to do that, that should be almost an item for itself. Solar, if you wanted to take a look at it.
Well, I mean, do you think it's at a good point, or no?
I mean, it's. Ready to go? Wait a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry. I brought the wrong thing. I did not bring my, I brought, that's an old That's something else. I'm sorry. So I don't have it.
All right, well, keep everything on the agenda for now and we'll just continue, working through it next month. But don't forget to send those,
I will.
those example, regulations out to everybody. And that graphic that you had, that had the different, classes.
But it's been a while since I'll send it again.
Okay. Next, we have new business, discussion of extending the duration of section 4.5, Schedule A, section 17.14, and section 21.5 of Thomaston zoning regulations pertaining to outdoor food and alcoholic beverage service to December 31st, 2020. I think we're all hoping this COVID thing would be gone by now, but.
Yeah, and I did just get recent information, maybe the public now, I'm not sure, that the governor extended the state of emergency and the consequent executive orders until February 9th. So if that helps inform your discussion, the reality is if that does, I think there's some procedural stuff that has to happen in terms of the General Assembly agreeing with it. But if that does go forward, the reality is all of those terms that are in the executive orders, including about the outdoor dining, will still remain in place. So we would just in effect be bringing our regulation in accordance with what seems like the state is doing.
And I don't remember, in the regulation that we put together, did we have something in there that said, you know, until this date or until the state of emergency ceases to exist, whichever comes first?
Yes, I believe we did.
So, you know, the reason we did that was try to help all the businesses that are really being hurt by this pandemic. And since it's not going away anytime soon, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to extend it. And, but if you already heard from the state that they're thinking February 9th, maybe instead of December 31st, we should just extend it till the end of February or the cessation of the state of emergency, whichever comes first. I don't know, what do you guys think about it?
It would be cleaner, it would line up with that.
It's no brainer.
Are they allowed to put sides on the tents and heat them?
Say that again?
Are they allowed to put sides on the tents and heat
I've
them?
actually already been approached by one restaurant in town trying to see about doing that, and I talked with the building official and he did some research. Yes, in theory they could, and he could grant a permit for it. There's some things that have to happen. However, it also depends on whether or not, I mean, some of the tent manufacturers have some recommendations, etc. They might not agree that the heating unit should be inside the tent. It might have to be outside and then piped in. If they want to go through all of those hurdles, it's up to them. The fire marshal obviously still needs to be involved, but people are starting to explore it, so this discussion is fun.
But I don't know, if they were to put sides on a tent,
No different.
then what's the difference if you're in a building or not, right?
One could argue.
But it's also about providing additional tables for distancing.
Yes.
So, 50% inside of capacity, that is, plus it adds the,
It adds
So,
additional capacity.
yeah.
Right.
but I think as a practical matter, it's not going to be implemented very much when the cold weather comes around.
Yeah, I would look forward to doing that, so. But I forgot, there is inside is allowed now. So even if they did want to put sides on the tent, it's still, I guess it would be like an inside thing, I
Right.
guess. But that'd be okay. All right, so what do y'all think about extending it?
Sure.
Yes.
Should we just do it through the end of February or the cessation of the state of emergency? whichever comes
To
first?
coincide with the governor's request.
Well, I didn't hear what you
I think to
said.
coincide with the governor's request, the governor wishes to extend it to the end of the year. I think we should dovetail that to the same thing.
But Stacy said it was February 9th, which is kind of like in the middle of the month.
He's lining up with the start of the next session of the General Assembly, because the thought was that they need to be in session in order to start drafting regulations that kind of more or less dovetail with what the executive orders have said, which are not in place right now. And if the executive order is written tomorrow, all of those would be done. So,
And if we word ours, so that it says the, February 28th, or the cessation of state of emergency, whichever comes first, then we probably away. Then we have a few more months to see how things play out. Are we
Just
okay
do
with
it,
that?
or just do it for the duration of the state of emergency as amended. So if it's extended, then that one becomes extended also.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to go. You don't have the exact wording of what's currently here, do you?
I can get it.
And they'll have to go through the public hearing process, right?
Yeah, and if that's the only change we're looking to do is simply change the date, and then you could probably say it tonight, because then all I have to do tomorrow is to take the text we still have from the original proposal, we can change the date on it, and we can publish it and put it in the town clerk's office.
But if we have to have a public hearing, we need to notice this, so we'd have to have that.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying, yeah, I'd be ready to go if you wanted to schedule the public hearing tonight. I can have that all done tomorrow, and we can plan on it for October.
Yeah, let's just double check the wording.
As part of post-COVID-19 recovery and social distancing requirements, the period from when the governor of the state of Connecticut partially lifts the declaration of public health and civil preparedness emergencies, originally issued March 10th, 2020, in such a manner as to permit some level of on-site restaurant and bar service until such time as the declaration is completely lifted, but in no case earlier than May 2020 or later than October 15, 2020. Food establishments may apply for a site plan modification to permit for outdoor food and beverage service to be reviewed and if appropriate authorized by the zoning enforcement officer subject to the following requirements.
It sounds like if we just take out the clause that says no later,
Yeah.
it would be okay. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
Why don't? So why don't we make a motion to have Stacy do that and then set the public hearing for October?
And just so we're clarifying, we are wishing to extend the duration of this to February 9th, 2020.
No, I think we're just gonna leave it open-ended based on the declaration of an end of the,
For the duration of this executive order of the
Yeah.
governor,
as amended, as amended.
as amended, okay.
So moved.
Thanks. Is there a second to the motion?
Joe Hart seconds.
Thanks. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Elizabeth Jamison, how do you vote? You're muted.
Sorry, aye.
Thank you. Tom Mueller, how do you vote?
Tom Mueller, aye.
Joe Hartz, how do you vote?
Joe Hart's aye.
And Bill Guerrero, how do you vote? And Ralph Salone also votes aye.
Okay, for the public hearing on October 7th, to change the wording from its current language ending on October 15th to, for the duration of the executive order
As amended.
as amended.
Yes.
Okay.
On to communications. Do you have any information that you need to convey to us?
Don't, but I didn't know if Mr. Friedland might.
Yeah, Terry Friedland, Stump Avenue. I just wanted to state my case here. My wife's had two fusions in less than a year. We have a cape. I'm trying to keep her off the stairs as much as possible. I built a bathroom upstairs 2 years ago for her, and I approached Stacy, called her on the phone a couple weeks back, and I just bounced this proposal to knock out my back wall, small bedroom downstairs, to enlarge it about double the size of it. And she said there was a regulation. She looked up the site plan, I guess, and there was a regulation. She could probably speak to it better than me. But I got like the smallest lot of property down there on Stump Avenue. So I'm a little bit over some regulation of open space. So, okay, so I left there and I just researched a little bit more. And I called, back, sorry, a couple months later, and I was gonna take half of my deck out. And the square footage is gonna be the same as the addition would be. So it will be pretty much a swap use of the spot there. And I just wanted to, I didn't want to leave her with holding, making a decision all that. I don't know if that's her job or what, but anyway, I just want to get you guys' blessing on it. If it's, I want to do it next spring, and I just want to see if it's feasible that I could do it.
So what
So right now-
Mr. Friedland is saying is that there would be no net change in the amount of lot coverage. He would take off some of the, there's a deck right now, and he would take off some of the deck right now, put the addition on at the back, but there would be no net change in lot coverage. He would still be over, but no net change.
So is it a legally non-conforming lot now?
Yes.
And what he's doing would not be increasing the non-conformity?
Again, no net change in the lot coverage.
Yeah, so I don't think you need to go through us.
That's what Stacy conveyed to me, but I just, I didn't want to put her out on it. I just wanted to run by you guys. So we're all on the same page. If I decide I can do it, I just apply for the permit and go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take a straw vote,
Whatever you guys do.
Bill, what do you think? We got a thumbs up from Bill. What do you think, Joe? Another thumbs up, Tom? Another thumbs up? I'm gonna give you a thumbs up. What do you think, Liz? Another thumbs up from Liz. So you got 5 thumbs ups. None, no downs.
That would be
5
enough.
thumbs up.
That would be enough, anything?
What's that?
That would be enough?
I think so. You're not making it more non-conforming, so you're okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you, Stacy.
Take care.
Anything else under that section that you need to convey to us?
No.
All right, and then next on the agenda is executive session. Is there stuff we need to discuss under?
There are a couple.
All right, so can we have a motion to go into executive session?
About reports of officers.
I think we
I
should vote on
prepared
that.
my zoning enforcement report for you, and then the copy machine ate it, and I couldn't get copies to you, so I will
Okay.
email it to you for tomorrow.
So we don't have it.
We don't have it, okay.
All right. So how about a motion to go into executive session and to invite in Stacy?
So moved at 8:56.
Thank you. Second?
Joe Hart second.
Elizabeth Jamison, how do you vote? You're muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Tom, how do you vote?
Tom Mueller, aye.
Joe Hart?
Joe Hart's aye.
Bill, how do you vote? Ralph Sloan also votes aye, so motion carries unanimously. Let us know when you have the streaming and the recording turned off. And don't forget you have one up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Got to wear a mask.
Still have to wear one.
So I think we should do this more often.
So the only person that doesn't have to wear a mask.
1 minute, guys.
I think we should vote like this.